Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Pisces for November 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, check out my blog, and check out my new school, my Astaria School of Practical Magic, where I will assist you in using ancient and scientific wisdom to bring magic into your practical reality. So what's going on in the month of November? We start out the month and have half of the month in this nice wide open window that we started in September that is free from personal planets being retrograde. So this is a great launching pad for bringing things out into the world, making big decisions, making forward movement, pushing things out into the world. And on the 15th, even though we start into this steady decline into the Mercury retrograde, kind of pushing more in and instead of out, we have a couple of good dates after the 15th if you have to sneak some last minute stuff through. So I'll go into more details about that later. But first I want to talk about some things specific to Pisces. I'm calling the theme of the month for Pisces material magic, and that is because we've got this full moon focus in the second house. The full moon is on November 3rd. It's at almost 12 degrees of Taurus. Even though Taurus is the ruler of Pisces' third house, the actual event will be occurring for early, middle, and late degree placements in the second house. I know this is a very hard concept to understand if you're not seeing the chart, not having the visual reference for it, can be challenging, but the third house doesn't start at 0 degrees of Taurus. It starts at a later degree of Taurus, and that degree gets later, the later in the sign you personally are. So all of you will have this very strong likelihood of experiencing this full moon in the second house. You early degree placements could also have some of that energy in the third house because it's on the line for you. So what does it mean? A full moon is a bringing to fruition, a welling up, a completion, a fruition. Something, sometimes it brings drama, sometimes it brings things to light, it brings hidden things to light. So full moons have a tendency to be very emotional, and sometimes that's good emotions and sometimes it's challenging emotions. I always think about full moons as like water representing emotion, and if we think about a dog shaking off water after they get wet, that's kind of what we do. We energetically discharge our fields of emotions at the full moon time. So often things will occur to help push that monthly clearing off of these emotions. So sometimes it can be happy tears, something coming to fruition that you've worked on so hard can come into fullness at the full moon. Taurus energy, so the Taurus energy is going to be true for all signs because the full moon is in Taurus, but this has an extra energy of Taurus for you Pisces placements since the event is also happening in your second house, which rules Taurus. So what does Taurus energy talk about? It talks about earned income, your personal finances, streams of income, what your budget is, what your values are as far as what you spend money on. There's self-esteem wrapped up into there also. This has to do with luxury items, expensive items could fit here. Maybe it's probably going to manifest for many people that some sort of luxury item comes into the forefront, something expensive. Or alternatively, the same energy of Taurus that's on one spectrum as luxury is also on the other spectrum as earth consciousness, eco-friendly consciousness. And it could be both. It could be luxury, eco-friendly energy. This is the material realm. This talks about earth. So environmental projects can be listed here. Personal sustainability can be listed here. So some drama, completion, fullness, fruition coming to that arena of life in the beginning of November. Sometimes you might feel that a few days before the full moon. I usually get my full moon freak out about 48 hours before the full moon. And then by the time the full moon comes, the energies have passed. So look out for that there. Now, you early degree placements, you could have a likelihood of experiencing this in the third house because, and even, it depends on what your placement, if you're a middle degree placement, if something is on the cusp, it could be in either place, but it's more the earlier placements that have this chance of having this fullness, completion, fruition, drama occur in their devices, transportation, siblings, communication sector. Okay, so then we've got this new moon on November 18th, and the new moon is at 26 degrees of Scorpio, and that is going to occur for, let's see, early degree placements will have that in their 9th house. Middle degree placements will either be 9th or 8th house, and late degree placements will have that in their 8th house. So new moon area has to do with making wishes and having a new clean slate, something just beginning, something new opening. I love talking about wishes because I feel like using astrological power periods to get us more aligned with and closer to things that we want to have as experiences in our life is very exciting. So I talk a lot about wishing, and you can see more information about this in my video, Making Powerful Wishes Using Astrological Periods. So basically, if you just search for Annie Making Wishes, it will probably come up, or you can do Annie Botticelli Making Wishes. But in any case, the new moon energy, for everyone, every sign will experience that in Scorpio, okay, because that's the sign that it's in. And you late degree Pisces placements will have an extra energy of Scorpio because for you, it's also in the 8th house, which is the Scorpio house. So all of you will have this opportunity for making wishes and having new experiences involving close personal relationships, business, romantic, intimacy, studying deep esoteric topics, astrology, psychology, parapsychology, research projects, doing genealogies, something where you're investigating something, looking for an answer to a mystery. This is also the house of shared income. So this is, and I'll talk more about this in the general transits because there's a strong focus on Scorpio energy this month that continued from October. But this new moon energy is holding the chance for making wishes, and you get 10 wishes. So you can make wishes around having money come out of the blue. You know, the 8th house is the house of inheritances, it's the house of sweepstakes, lotto, all of that is in there. You early and middle degree placements will also have this new moon energy in the 9th house. Okay, so Sagittarius energy, that has to do with, so you make your new moon wishes about publishing, writing, teaching, speaking, anything with teaching and learning projects, international business, international connections, international travel can light up very beautifully. It's very common that something related to teaching, writing, speaking, traveling, different countries, different cultures, different languages comes up with this energy, a new opportunity. This also has to do with spirituality and spiritual studies, and it has to do with religion as well. So if you're very involved with your church, this can be a new church project. This can be a new church, something you're studying, or a new insight about the connectedness of all things. So these are the things that are most on my mind for, let's see, for our Pisces placements. Let me just take a quick look here. Yeah. Okay, so that is what's on my mind for Pisces. And now I want to talk at length about these general transits. Don't underestimate the way general transits can affect you personally. I know that people are very interested in their personal horoscopes, what's going on for them, and that's why I always like to touch on some points about that. But the general transits are very powerful, and you definitely will be experiencing them. So the theme of the month for all signs for November 2017 is Train Your Inner Hero. And this is on account of a bunch of aspects with Chiron. Chiron is an asteroid. It's named after a gentle centaur in Greek mythology. Many people who follow Chiron in their charts will know that he's known as the wounded healer. So when you're following him in your chart, this is a place where it's like your Achilles heel, you know, you're strongest everywhere else except there. That's your sore spots, your most vulnerable points. But there's another aspect of Chiron that's lesser known, and that is that he was a trainer of heroes. Many of the figures in Greek mythology, the heroes in Greek mythology that won these victories that we've heard about all this time, they were trained by Chiron. And so as we have aspects with Chiron, challenging and more soft, we have this wonderful opportunity not only to work on this tyrant-victim polarity that comes up so readily on the earth plane. That's another piece of Chiron, is to remember that when we feel like someone is being a tyrant to us, then we're automatically a victim, and vice versa. So the belief in any point of that polarity brings perpetuation of the dynamic back and forth and the role-playing back and forth. So Chiron assists us to transcend these energies and to drop the story of victimhood and plant the seeds of empowerment. And it also assists us in training our inner hero. So a great trainer will use our weakest spots as not only places to fortify, but also places that make us different than other people, that bring us gifts. So you may find many gifts in focusing on your vulnerabilities at this time from these aspects, and that's one of the themes of the month. So we've got lots of Scorpio energies continuing into this month, and they are going to continue to bring in the themes that they started in October of deep introspection, mysteries, research, psychology. Astrology is in there also from the psychological perspective. This is the house and sign, the 8th house, of other people's money. So inheritances, shared money, marital money, sweepstakes, winning, finding money, money coming from nowhere, debt, credit. All of these are themes that are going to be continuing to be brought up by the Scorpio energies this month. There are many powerful transformations awaiting with this energy because Pluto owns that space of the deepest transformation, birth, death, rebirth. The phoenix rising from the ashes is a way that I always like to describe that energy. So we've got that energy present, but at the same time, this lighter, very different Sag energy starts to work its way in. And when Sag energy becomes present, we have the desire for action and movements, adventure and prolific expression. You know, it's the sign of luck, and it's the energy of optimism, and also is a very strong intuitive, like following hunches to increase synchronicities, and increasing the breadth of our experience. Scorpio energy talks about the depth of experience, and Sag energy talks about the breadth. So we've got both of those going on this month. So you might find a lot of chances to spiral in and go deep, as we also spin out and go really wide. Lots of people will find that they are excited about and ready to and having opportunities to travel or do things with different countries, different cultures, different languages. Sag energy is also very much related to publishing projects, writing, editing, teaching, learning, and teaching and learning programs of any kind are Sag's domain. So, and just fun, you know, Sag is a very easy, light-hearted, fun-loving sign. So you'll feel those energies start to roll in. In November, we are still in that window that started in September of this open time without personal planets being retrograde, but that's only through November 15th. November 15th, the Mercury retrograde shadow period begins. So Mercury doesn't go retrograde in November, but the shadow period starts on the 15th. So every day after the 15th, you start feeling that kind of the mishaps, the miscommunication, stuff with transportation, stuff with the devices coming up. And you can check out my video, Mercury retrograde do's and don'ts, on my channel, Annie Botticelli, Mercury retrograde. Also, you can just tune in to what's happening, you know, and this is one of the most important things that I'd like to teach about astrology, is that you can hear about what's going on in the energies, but the more you start to match these dates with feeling into them, that's the biggest thing, because you will notice it. I have heard countless people tell me when they start paying attention, oh gosh, Mercury must be retrograde again. Things start slowing down, communications start getting more complicated, things from the past start showing up. So if you have a big launch or something you want to burst out into the world, trying to push it out by the 15th is a really good idea, because we don't want your out push to be interfered with by the in-roll of Mercury retrograde. Now, that being said, I will talk about a couple of dates after November 15th if you have to push some last minute stuff through that are really nice energies, but try to get the bulk of your gusto out before that time. I always liken this to the idea of being on a deserted island and making a boat. When you try to get off the island, you would not put your boat that you've worked so hard to make, this is your last chance, right? Your only chance to get off the island. You wouldn't put it out when the tide was coming in. It would make no sense. You'd be battling the waves and you probably wouldn't make it. But if you wait, if you watch the tides and you wait until the tide is going out to set your boat afloat, it's much more likely that you're going to reach your destination. So that's why we want to pay attention to these energies. And even though everyone gets, a lot of people get irritated with, oh, it's Mercury retrograde again, I don't want to hear about this. Well, it's true, but it's important as a rhythm, especially in a world where everything is about go, 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 that we have these beautiful retrogrades that remind us that sometimes it's just time to roll a little bit in and then store and save, hold the gold until we have these good launching points and then push out, and then roll back in. So half the month is in this major push out, and then we start moving into this roll back in type of energy. So I'm going to give you some details about some of the aspects to look out for this month and the dates they happen around. Do know that when I give you exact dates that the transits occur on, you could feel those manifestations before or after those dates, because it's not a finite point in time that these things are expressing. We often will feel them before or after. So just kind of pay attention. And always there are positive or easier aspects occurring at the same time as the more challenging aspects that are coinciding with each other. So you have to really tune into your own energy flow. And even if a date's supposed to be good for something, if you're feeling really strong the day before, don't be afraid to just bust it out. You have to use this information to follow your own intuitive flow and not let anything else supersede your own inner knowing. Also, when you sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com, you can get a written version of my general transit reading a month before, delivered right into your inbox, so you can have a visual on it as far as the dates and the energies that they can bring. So sometimes people like that for planning purposes. Okay, so we start out with a Mercury in Scorpio, trine, Chiron, and Pisces. This is one of the many Chiron aspects we have this month. That is why I called the theme of the month Train Your Inner Hero, because of this Chiron presence. And with this combination, and this is like the first through the second, but you could feel it before or after, support could come from inner work or another person, as confidence is built through self-acceptance. Chiron, especially in Pisces, is just a very, it's an internal healing, anything that makes us feel like we're not right with anything, with ourselves, with the world, So the more we have self-acceptance, the more we can be open to support from other people because we feel like we deserve it. On November 2nd, there's a Saturn and Sag squaring Chiron and Pisces. So we have this sweet aspect at the same time as this challenging aspect. So it's like this newfound work with self-acceptance is going to be tested by an authority figure, likely something stern from the outside world. But it could be the other way around. It could be that because something is coming in as harshness, we can choose to use the softer energy to just love ourselves, love the person or the being, whatever it is that's reflecting this to us, and do good inner work with it. On November 3rd, we have a Sun in Scorpio, trine Neptune in Pisces. This first occurred on July 5th, and it brings a really great focus on creativity and artistic talents. So you might use that energy purposely for creative or artistic work, or you might just find it's naturally brought out of you, that you're kind of in that mood. So this is a really positive and peaceful combination, and it's really supportive to assisting self and others. So then on November 3rd, we also have this full moon at almost 12 degrees of Taurus. Full moons bring fullness, completion, fruition to the sign that it is occurring in. Sometimes it brings drama. Sometimes it brings elucidation, the bringing to light of something. So that will be in the areas of everything Taurian, so this is personal finances, your own earned income, luxury items, earth, eco-related projects. This has to do with your values and also has to do with self-esteem. So we've got a really busy time at the beginning of the month because coinciding with this full moon, we also have something else going on November 3rd, which is Venus in Libra sextiling Saturn in Sagittarius. A sextile is a very favorable aspect. It usually is one that requires you to take action in order to get the good possibility from it. So when Venus and Saturn come together, it's really great for taking steps forward with long-term projects. And since there's energy in Libra, it would favor partnerships or working with someone on something. And this is a really great launching point for trying to move forward with things, but it's kind of a mixed bag, you know, because you have all this intensity around, and then the next day you have Venus opposing Uranus in Aries. And so this can bring jolts or overstimulation in the arenas of love or money or self-esteem, you know, so definitely issues with self versus relationship are being brought up. So it's possible that as you have a chance to move forward in partnership, the fears could come up, you know, of merging, and, you know, so you can use your intuition to see what you're supposed to do with that. But there's definitely a lot of energy around partnering and doing something for the long term. On November 9th, we've got the Sun in Scorpio making a great aspect to Pluto in Capricorn. Again, this is one that you would need to take action on to get its most positive attributes. And this has to do with bonding with other people in deep ways. So, you know, in love, in money, in business, you know, so you can kind of see this theme of partnership. And this is being brought over from the energies in Scorpio, some energy still in Libra. Libra and Scorpio are partnership energies. So just, it has to do with self, and it has to do with how we relate to others, which is a very common theme for this month. We'll look out on the 13th, or let's see, the 11th first. We've got another beautiful aspect. Now, this is a really big deal because when outer planets, the ones that take a really long time to move around, make aspects to each other, these themes last for a long time because they come together and then they retrograde apart, and then they come together again, and they like follow this flow over an extended period of time where there's a long-term theme. So this is the last of the 3 brilliant matchups of this Saturn and Uranus energy. And these are very different energies. Saturn is long-term, ground building, foundational, and Uranus is out of the blue, surprises, can be unstable, and Saturn is stable, you know, so it's like this coming together of opposites in a way, in a beautiful configuration. So the first time this happened was December 24th, 2016. The second time it happened was May 19th of 2017, and then this is the third time. So it can really bring stability and expansion through the combination of innovation and technology, because Uranus rules innovation and technology. So this transit lasts well beyond the date of November 11th. You'll feel it in the weeks before or weeks after. Sensitive people will have felt it as a long-term theme for almost a year. So on the 13th, we've got a really fantastic aspect for merging. There's so much energy that's really good for weddings, for partnerships coming together. Like I said, it's a mixed bag because there's, you know, the challenges and the fears that come with it, and maybe the red flags even. But Venus matching up with Jupiter is one of the best combinations for love and money, you know, because Jupiter's a great expander and Venus rules love and money. So it can very thoroughly expand. Anything that you do on this day or around this day as far as money or love can be very, very powerful and transformational. So I really love it as a launch date for business things. You know, again, you just have to feel in, because there is an aspect on the same day where Mercury, which is ruling communication, is in Neptune, is squaring Neptune. And that can mean you're not seeing things clearly, you know? So if you've already done all of the work where you have to, you know, do your testing to make sure everything is cool to move forward, then this could just be a little blip. But if you're just meeting someone at this time, there could be an intense meeting, either romantic or otherwise, but there's this piece where you're maybe not seeing everything really clearly as well. So you just have to look out for that. On the 16th, Venus in Scorpio is making a beautiful aspect to Neptune, and this is wonderful for emotions and intimacy. You can see our theme of this partnership and coming together continues. Now, if you are someone who is moving through this time and you're not merging with people in any way, that doesn't mean that the transformation can't abound prolifically, because Scorpio energy is very deep and can be very individual, even though it does represent the merging of energies as well. But an individual going on a deep transformational journey can very much embody this energy, because it's the story of going deep into the self as well. So you can do really deep inner work with this, solve mysteries, find answers to problems, find solutions. There's a lot of different ways you can use this besides merging with other people. So on the 16th, we also have the sun in a beautiful aspect with Chiron. So Chiron coming up again, this has to do with your forgiveness of self, helping all of your relationships. When it comes back down to it, to simplify so many things in life, we are mad at ourselves and we project it on other people and everything becomes a mess. It's really simple. So self-forgiveness and anything we do with self-forgiveness can be very greatly assisted this month, and that's part of training your hero. Okay, so then on the 17th, we have Mercury and Sag making a trine to Mars, and this is awesome for bringing thoughts into action. So Mercury and Sag is very busy mentally. Even though November 17th is technically in the pre-shadow period, you still can push some good things through on this day. Then we've got our new moon at 26 degrees of Scorpio on November 18th, and this is time to make your new moon wishes. New moon wishes are real, just like birthday wishes are real. You've got this new open window, especially when you align your wishes with the sign that the new moon is in. You can check out my website for a blog about this. It's called Making Powerful New Moon Wishes in Scorpio. If you just go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and go in the blog, go in Astrology, and search for New Moon Wishes Scorpio, you can have a good guideline for how you can maximize these wishes. And I have those every month for every sign, so you can always find them there. But to summarize, you want to use those Scorpio-related things that I talked about earlier: partnership, other people's money, deep finances, astrology, psychology, things like that, and align your wishes in those arenas for powerful transformation. This new moon is also going to be making a beautiful trine to Chiron, right? We keep talking about Chiron this month, so it's bringing strength and empowerment and interdependence. There's also a conflict with Mars and Pluto on the 19th that could show up as part of this new moon. Mars squaring Pluto is always a little bit nasty. I'm an optimist. I like to look at the bright side of things, but I will always tell you when I see an aspect that's yucky. It's not that you can't do something good with it. I hope that you will. That's my mantra, is challenging aspects are here for us to push through resistance and clear out issues that are interfering with our highest expression. But it can be kind of nasty, aggression, violence, all of these things. If you are to try to avoid circumstances where things like that could occur, be very careful driving, don't antagonize a crazy person. Things like that are good to avoid when you have a conflict with Mars, which is the ruler of war, and Pluto, the ruler of the underworld. So this first occurred on February 22nd, and it definitely brings the need to carry extra awareness, because it will definitely bring stress and conflict in many cases. Partnership commitments or unwelcome opinions from key relationships may come up, and how you respond to them could be part of the manifestation of this transit as well. By November 21st, that energy has cleared. We've got Venus in Scorpio making a great angle to Pluto. So now maybe that conflict brought things up and now there's a smoothing over point. This can be very intense emotional or romantic experiences. This can have to do with amazing financial opportunities. So like I said, I had mentioned earlier that there'd be a few spots that would be okay for pushing some things through that are last minute things. I don't love them as the big launches if you can help it, only because you're kind of getting into that murky retrograde energy. But if you've got to push some last minute things through, November 17th was a good time. November 21st has some good energies. And on the 22nd, we have Neptune going direct in Pisces. So of course, anything that Neptune does is going to affect everybody, but it will affect Pisces even more. When your ruling planet, it's not just because Neptune's in the sign of Pisces, it's because Neptune rules the sign Pisces. So this is a very sobering time, you know, so it's good for becoming practical and organized and making the abstract more concrete. On the 25th, we have a beautiful aspect with Mercury in Sagittarius, trining Uranus and Aries. And like I had said before, even though Mercury shadow period is happening, there are going to be people whose stuff starts to break down at this time and they need to get new devices. This would be a good point to push through, like if you have to get in a vehicle, if you have to get a device. If you haven't done it earlier in the month and things start to break down now from the shadow period having begun, this at least carries some good energy if you have to get some of those new things for things ruling communication and transportation. On the 26th, we have Venus and Scorpio making a trine to Chiron and Pisces. So this is really empowering for finances or your self-esteem or your romance sector. On the 27th and 28th, we have Mercury in Sagittarius making a conjunction to Saturn in Sagittarius. So big picture dreams, which is Sagittarius rules big picture dreams, may need some harnessing and organizing now. That's the influence of Saturn. So that's possible how it could manifest for you. Alternatively, hard work done to rein in scattered efforts can be very much rewarded. You know, since Saturn can be kind of serious and Sag can be light, sometimes the coming together of these energies can be something annoying and limiting to our flow and our expansion. But if you use the energy right, then it can be very productive, especially for long-term ventures. So these are the things that are most on my mind for the month of November for everybody. Definitely check out my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog. Check out my new school, my Astaria School of Practical Magic. If you are an empath, if you are a sensitive person trying to navigate in this crazy world and it feels like the rules are different for you and you don't know why everything is different than mainstream for you, it's definitely an amazing and magical, wonderful support system. So you can check that out at anniehelpsyou.com. Also, definitely check out my husband, B.R. Newman's Tarot Scopes. You can go to iamhelios.com, iamhelios.com. If you haven't already signed up for my free email newsletter, then definitely do that on my website at anniehelpsyou.com. And if you have signed up for my newsletter and you're not getting it, we need to figure this out because I send it out religiously every month, a month early. I always have, I will as long as I can. And so if you're not getting it, something's going on with your inbox. It could be in spam, it could be in social promotion events folders. If you use the contact in your welcome letter that I send, there's a contact address that I say to add. And when you add that to your contacts, it gives the message to your email service to put things from me right into your inbox instead of one of those other folders. So I hope you have a wonderful month and I'll see you next month. Bye.